guys? This is xHoodler. I will be doing my preseason summary of the 2019 summer season of Moose Hockey League. I believe this is season 39. So we are going to jump right into it. I am going to sort of go over everyone's roster and kind of give my opinions on how they did in the draft, who was their good pickups, maybe who was not their good pickups, and where I think they will end up at the end of the season. I think a lot of these teams, just looking at it briefly, a lot of them are kind of lumped into the same category where they're going to be a middle-of-the-pack team. And to me, that just means that you're probably pretty well-rounded, because I think some of the top-heavy teams probably won't do too well. And that's just speaking from experience in leagues. You could have really good defense but no offense, and vice versa. So I just want to make sure that everyone knows that if I if I give someone a bad review, it's not, most of the time it's because I haven't played or seen anyone else play on your team. So I'm just going to jump right into it. I'm going to start off with the MHL Avalanche, captained by Gal Like a Boss and Gladiator Out. They have Pens fans, Mr. Mike Scott, St. Louis Blues 9131, Booyah Blast, Hi, my name is Ed, Trip Aces, Death Mall, and Mercules 90. I've played a couple of games against Gal Like a Boss. Of course, those were scouting games, so I can't really speak on behalf of his team. But just looking at his lineup, I think his best pickup for bod value would be Mercules for one bod. I've played with him in a different league, and he's a solid forward. He's probably going to put up some points, and he's primary right wing, but he can play center. And they have Mr. Mike Scott as well, who is also a great right wing and center, who's also probably going to do a majority of their scoring. Besides that, man, they have three primary goalies. That's not really a good sign. I know Trip Aces can play forward pretty well from what I understand. St. Louis Blues is a good goalie. He was on my rookie showcase team. He made some fantastic saves. I know Gal Like a Boss plays defense, I believe. I don't know anything about Gladiator Out. I've never heard of him or played with him. But just looking at the lineup, they're going to struggle on defense. I mean, they have three primary goalies right now, and they have two primary defensemen that they drafted. So I don't think this will be a top team. I would probably slot them in as a bottom half team. And that's no disrespect to any of the players on the team, but there just isn't enough firepower up front, and there isn't enough shutdown D-men, if any, on this team. I know Ed is a solid defenseman, but I don't think he even has a decent partner to work with here. So I'm just going to move on to the MHL Blades. They are captained by Cash Cush and Hoots and Sloots. They have Sphinx, Green Thumb Hippie, Curdog, Felty Pack, Lakara 22, Brothel, Spoonman Fork, and Datsuk 13. They have a well-rounded roster. I mean, they didn't go after anyone in particular. They saved some cap space that way. I mean, they Sphinx went for 11, Green Thumb Hippie for 14, Curdog for 11, Felty Pack for 11, Lakara for 13, Brothel for 12. So they went for defense, it looks like. They have Curdog as their goalie. Sphinx had a pretty good season last season. I believe he had around 80 points last season. But Cash Cush is a good forward. I've never played with Hoots and Sloots, so I can't really comment on him. I know Lakara is a really good defenseman. I know I bid him up a little bit. Green Thumb Hippie is a solid defenseman. I think they're going to be a solid team. They look to me more of like a middle-of-the-pack team, maybe gearing towards the top half. I'm not sure what their availability is like for each of these players, but having Cash Cush in there for 8 games is going to be pretty big, and he's a solid player. I'd probably slot them in, probably squeaking into playoffs, I would assume. And yeah, I mean, I don't know a whole lot about their lineup, but I have played with a few of their players, and I know that they're pretty solid. So I'm going to move on to MHL Blues. I think everyone knows their situation. They just have availability issues, captained by Crazy Lakes and Dangles. They recently traded Dangs for Doust, which was, I think, a great move for him, and it's a good move for the Thunder as well because they get someone in return who is really good on the sticks. That they don't really need another full-time guy, but the Blues desperately need a full-time guy, and Doust is a solid winger that could fill that spot. So going down that list, they have Doust now, JC Enterprise, who went for 5 bods, which is just unbelievable to get him for 5 bods. Donnie Wood, Glex, Chi-Town Beatdown, Two Joints, Faf Reno, and Legion. Easily, in my mind, probably the most talented roster. But again, at least from what I understand, the rumor is that they're not even going to be able to play Tuesday games right now. So if that rumor is true, then they're going to really struggle because even if you were to win out, you would still kind of be fighting for a spot towards the end, and it's going to be hard to win every single game. I don't think that's ever going to happen. So they need to find a way to play on Tuesdays and hope that they can get or trade someone for another full-time player, because otherwise I would probably slot them as a middle-of-the-pack team, which would be a disappointment for all the good players that they have. So moving on, MHL Crunch, which is captained by Just Donnie and Darius. They have Pens Canucks, Spadzio, Distress, Surprise Me, Iverson, Mike McGower, RJ, and King. I know King is going through a personal issue. He will be replaced. He is one of their goalies. I know that they have Pens Canuck as a goalie. I don't really know too much about these guys. I've played with Surprise Me. He's a really solid player. Spads is a very solid player. I've played with Iverson a few years back. He's a solid player too. I think their issue is going to be defense. They just don't have anyone standing out to me. I mean, they have one primary defenseman that they drafted. And he was the one. He played on my rookie showcase team, and he wasn't that hot. A lot of turnovers. I'm not sure if he was nervous. Maybe they saw something different than I did. But yeah, defense is going to be an issue with this team. I've never played with Donnie. I've played against Darius a few times, but they have some solid forwards. But to me, in this game, if you don't have solid defensemen to get through the neutral zone, and let alone just out of your own zone, you're going to struggle even with some of the best forwards. So I would probably slot this team probably towards the bottom half of the league, just solely based on that, but I hope they prove me wrong. I'm going to move on to the MHL Ducks, who are captained by Lippy and Blitzfin. They have Jackie Chan, Canadian Gamer, Truly, For Canadian, Crazy Yeti Killer, Coors, Solid Nuke, Red Squadron, and It's Dave Man. Solid team. I think their best pickup here was probably Dave Man. Dave Man played on my team. He was a free agent last season. We picked him up. Solid winger. I'll probably slot him as maybe a backup winger, maybe even starting winger. But he could carry the puck. He knows how to pass. He can play center and right wing really well. They have Truly For Canadian as well. They went all in on him at 44 bods. Shutdown defenseman. He hits a lot. Definitely harder to play against. Jackie Chan stands out. He's an excellent goalie. I think the issue with this team is going to be offense. I'm not sure what Blitzfin plays. I'm not sure if Jackie Chan is going to be playing winger this season. Because at least from what I understood, he didn't want to play winger, but that may have changed. I'm not sure. But they don't have any kind of big name offensive guys in a draft that was filled with a lot of forwards. So that's going to be an issue, but I think they got the hard part down with two really good goalies, in my opinion, Lippy and Jackie Chan. Truly is going to be a solid D-man. Um, Dave Mann is a decent winger, but besides that, they kind of have average offense. I don't know anything about solid nuke. I'd probably slot this team probably middle of the pack team. Maybe trending towards the upper half just based on their defense and goaltending. If they could find a way to string together some goals or get Truly to step up maybe a little bit more in the offensive zone, because I know he plays very defensively, they're probably going to be better off. So they need to find a way to score some goals, would be my opinion. I don't really know because I haven't played against them, but that just looking at their roster and based off of my experience, I think that will be their only issue. So I'm going to move on to the MHL Flyers. They are captained by Coherent Killer and Weapon 311. Really solid squad. They have to be happy with their draft. I like Coherent Killer a lot. He's another Michigan man. Weapon is a solid center. I know he could play multiple positions, but he's really good in the face-off dot. Sink Show ended up in the top 5 along with Encelas. Or in the top 10, I'm sorry. G-Code was on that team with Encelas as well. Tigger Happy, really solid goalie. RJ Coffey is their other goalie. Flintstone, I think, was a really good pickup for one bod. He played on my rookie showcase team. More of a defensive-minded forward, but he's solid. Really good pickup for one bod. I think anyone would be happy to have him on their team if you don't know who he is. He is he came over in that OHA merger. He's going to be probably one of their better backup guys, and I know he's full-time, so that just gives them that much more scheduling availability, and I'm sure that helps out Coherent a lot. They, in my opinion, will probably be an upper half team. I see them definitely making playoffs with that roster. I'd be really surprised if they didn't. Coherent's a decent D-man. Besides that, they didn't draft any primary defensemen, so if anything, it would be their defensive ability, but I have a hard time believing even with that, because Coherent's probably going to hold down that spot pretty well. They're probably going to make playoffs, I would assume, and I wish them the best of luck. Moving on, MHL Griffins, they're captained by Owen and Ty. Now, the first half of the lineup looks great start. Looking at their draft, and this is no knock on Owen or Ty, because I like those guys a lot. I've played with Ty a few times. I've never played with Owen, but I could just get a grip on him in the chat. He seems like a funny guy. He ended up being one of the better forwards last season. Ty is a very solid center, and I could tell you just by scrimmaging him that he is really, really good in the dots. Not the most offensively skilled, but he is really good defensively, and he likes to play. I mean, he's a good guy. So they have Woody, Scally, Damare, Amendment, Sixth String, Captain Bohica, Chaos King, and EJ the Fifth, or EJF 13th or whatever. Their issue is clearly going to be defense. They have 3 or 4 really good wingers. I mean, Owen and Ty are decent guys. Woody's a decent player. Damari's an excellent winger. I think he's really good. Scally's a great goalie. But, man, their defense just is not looking good on the roster. And that's no knock on them, but they're going to need to find a defenseman that's going to be able to shut down and move the puck towards them, because without getting the puck out of your own zone, again, I mean, the forwards can only do so much and vice versa. So you need a more well-rounded roster to make it far in a longer season. So I'm going to move on, to the MHL Huskies, captained by Bo Horvat and SBDR. Another really well-rounded team. There isn't really a hole in their lineup. Mr. Master, Benny El Guapo, Profits, Subpylon, Silly Sully, Tommy Gotham, Matthews, and Dictator. I know pretty much everyone on the roster besides Tommy and Matthews. Master is obviously my boy. I play with him a lot. Bo's a great winger. SBDR is a great winger. Profis is a decent goalie. Pylon's a good defenseman. Sully, I'm pretty sure, plays defense. And Dictator, I think, was a really good pickup. He played really well in the showcase. Yeah, I mean, I have a hard time seeing them miss the playoffs. I don't really have a whole lot to say on them besides that they're going to be a solid team. There isn't really a hole in their lineup anywhere that I can realistically see here. So I'm just going to move on here to the MHL Ice. It is captained by Hoagie and Notorious One, two really good guys. Hoagie is a defenseman. Notorious is a center primarily. Notorious is a great defensive forward, probably the best defensive forward in the league, I'd say, just based off of who I've played with at least. Yeah, another lineup. I don't really know a whole lot of other guys. I know Vachon. I know Ukraine Train. I don't know Dirty Jers, Shuck and Jive. Don't hate Seth. I know the one and only. I do not know Knox. But based off of Hoagie and Notorious One, I know that they know a lot of people. So I'm going to go ahead and guess that this is probably going to be an upper half team. They're probably going to make the playoffs along with the Huskies. Yeah, really good team run by two really good dudes. I can't really say a whole lot more besides that. They're going to be tough to play against, and when you have a forward that's playing defense as well as Notorious, that's always a pain in the ass. So I wish them the best of luck, and I'm going to move on to my team. My team is MHL Jets, captained by me and B. Ruse. We picked up Orbit Save, Raceboy, Matt, Hubs, Jalbert, who we traded recently for Nate Mack. Furry Poolholes, Hart, 79, and How Dat Tastes. Yeah, personally, I believe that we have a well-rounded roster. We went for guys that play other positions well. Raceboy can play pretty much any position on the ice and do it really well. Matt was a solid pickup for 11. I thought he's going to be one of the better forwards in this league, I think. Hubs can play left wing and left D. Nate Mack can play both wings. Pujols has probably been my favorite pickup as far as bod value, just based on the fact that he listens really well. He's a great dude, and surprisingly, he's played really well in the games that we've played with him. He's not a world beater by any means, but he's just a great guy, and he listens to everything that everyone says or gives him advice on. So Hart is a good goalie, and How That Taste, he's pretty well known. He's been around for a long time, not in this league, but in other leagues, so I'm surprised I only got him for a bod. But he's another guy that plays every position and does it really well. He's primarily a goalie, but he could play defense, he could play offense, and do it really well. So really excited for my team. I'm not really going to comment whether or not we're going to make the playoffs because my opinion is biased. So I'm just going to go ahead and move on to the Kings. The Kings are captained by Vapor Craze and Jules. I don't really know a whole lot about their team. I've never played with Vapor. I've never played with Jules. I've played with D and AC before, and Rod and Dweezy. So I've played with a lot of their players, but they're probably going to be a middle-of-the-pack team. I just simply don't know enough about their captains to know, because when you have captains that are good, and then I know that are good, and they can play 8 games a week, it makes a huge difference versus a guy that can only play 4 to 6 games a week. So their offense looks pretty decent. AC's an average forward. I'd probably put Boston in that same category. Hallmane's probably an above-average forward, I'd say. He's a good player. Rod has improved a lot, and he's one of my buddies too, another Michigan man, not a big deal. He's a great dude. He's improved a hell of a lot since I started playing with him, so I wish him the best of luck. Dweezy, really good pickup. I don't think really anyone knew who he was coming in. I actually brought him into the league, really solid playmaker. He pretty much fit on anyone's roster, I'd say. He could play center and both wings. I think they're going to be happy with him. Mr. Cush was another guy I brought in, good defenseman. I don't know anything about Greased Up Deaf Guy, but shoot, man, just based on their roster, I don't really know any of their captains, so I'm just going to say that they're probably not going to make the playoffs. But I hope they prove me wrong. And that's not a knock on them. I just don't have enough information to make a better decision based on that. So I'm going to move on to the Railers, who are captained by the league commissioner, Blue Liner X6, and I'm just a scrub X3. They picked up Casa Nostra, Slamorama, Jelly, Nate Mack, who they traded to me for Jalbert, so Jalbert will replace him. Maserati GT 2016 Billiams, Walmart Gretzky, and KQMQ, which is an excellent pickup for a goalie. Yeah, this is a really solid, well-rounded team. I mean, Jelly is a great winger, probably one of the better ones in the league. Slamorama, great player. Blue Liner, great player. And KQ and Justice Scrub are both great goalies. So, and then they have Jalbert too, who can move the puck pretty well. So they're going to be tough to beat. I see them definitely making the playoffs. I'd be super surprised if they didn't. Yeah, there isn't really a whole lot to say outside of what I've just said, but Billiams, another good pickup for 3 bods, decent D-man. So I'm going to move on to the Spirit. Captained by my former captain, Hellbent Klein, and Bays Duramax 07. They have Vanishing Point, Dainty Pup, Buds McKenzie, Clumsy Ninja, Ace 22, Blackjack, Potato Head, who is also known as Goldberg, and Tank. Boy, yeah, they have some solid players in Dainty Pup, Potato Head, Tank, Clumsy Ninja is a good goalie. But man, their glaring hole in this team is their defense again. Klein, not the best defenseman. I don't know anything about Duramax. I've never heard of him before. Clumsy Ninja is an okay D-man. He goes for hits a lot, and I'm not sure if he just does that just to mess around or not. But man, their offense doesn't have enough firepower, even with Dainty Pup in there. Dainty Pup is a really good forward, but again, their glaring hole is going to be their defense, man. I do not see this team making the playoffs, even though I really like Klein. I play with Potato Head a lot. He's a really good goalie. I like Clumsy Ninja a lot. Great goalie, okay D-man. They're going to struggle on defense, and they're going to have to rely on their goalie and hopefully Dainty Pup to push them forward. But yeah, I do not see them making the playoffs this season. So I'm going to move on to the Stars here. Captained by Vanny JT Cross. They had a really good draft, man. I know that Vanny was really happy with it. They got Wazzy, Hellbent Willie, RTC 21, Ghost Bear, Berries, Puck Moose, Kelly 74, and Who Used All the TP. Wazzy, really solid winger and centerman. Vanny and JT Cross are both pretty decent forwards. Ghost Bear, good defenseman. He impressed a lot of people at the rookie showcase. TP was a great pickup, another really good winger. The only question I have is their goaltending. I'm not really familiar with their goalies, so I'm not sure where they're going to sit as far as their goalies are concerned. I'd be surprised if they miss the playoffs. They have a really well-rounded roster. Hellbent Willie's another guy that I think has improved since last season, but they might be shorthanded a little bit on defense, but for the most part, they have a really well-rounded roster, so I think they will make the playoffs. MHL Thunder, they are captained by Broke Hoodrat and my former captain, Hellbent Ninja. They have Upshaw, Frosty Nightmare, Yorktown, August, Doust, who they have traded for Dangs, Cougar Hunter, Stoner, and Iron City. Decent roster. Upshaw is a Swiss Army knife. Frosty Nightmare for 14 bods, man. I thought for sure that he was going to go for at least 30, 25 or 30. Really solid winger. So he's going to score a lot of goals. And just like Hoodrat said in his own podcast, I think people are really going to be familiar with him by the end of the season. So Yorktown, he's a decent goalie. Not really great anywhere else, though, and that's not a knock on him. He's a decent guy. but he's just not very good on the sticks. A lot of turnovers when he plays offense or defense, but he's a good goalie. So Akis, great guy, another Michigan man, pretty decent goalie. He's an okay forward. 13 bods, maybe a little too much. Probably right around what I paid for him, maybe like 10. They got Dangs now. Huge pickup there. One of the better talents in this league. He's part-time, but that's who they needed. They needed a part-time guy, and that just boosts their offensive power that much more. I'm sure that their forward line is going to be Upshaw, Frosty, and Hoodrat, or maybe Dangs, Hoodrat, and Frosty. This team probably going to be a middle of the pack team, even with Ninja. Ninja's a great goalie, probably one of the better ones in the league, I'd say. It's kind of hard to say. They have a really well balanced team, like I said, but Cougar Hunter is going to be a big pickup for them. I think he's a decent D man. He can play goalie too, but Ninja's probably going to be playing almost all those games. So. It should be interesting to see. I think they're lacking a little bit on defense. It could use a little bit more offensive power, but I think Hoodrat's decent enough where he's going to be able to put up some points. Frosty Nightmare is going to do a lot of that carrying too on the offensive load. So should be interesting to see. I wish them the best of luck. I love those guys. So best of luck to you guys. MHL Walleye, captained by Paint and Jets Killer. And you got to give a shout out to Paint for taking over a team that she didn't even draft. So, just looking at this roster, I got to feel bad for her because there's just no one on this roster that really stands out to me. I don't know anyone on this roster besides Shelder and Jets Killer and Paint. I've played with Clouds before. I've played against Juicy before. I simply don't know enough about this team to make a better decision, but just based on what I know, I'm going to have to say this is probably going to be a bottom half team. Just based on the fact that they don't have any decent names that I know of, at least, and not saying that I'm the end all be all, but Shelder is probably going to have to do a majority of their offensive carrying. I don't know anything about Neptune Spear, but they probably do, considering that they spent 24 bods on them. So best of luck to them. No disrespect to any of the players on that team, but again, another team that I really hope they kick my ass when they play them for talking so much shit about them. But it couldn't really be run by a better captain. So good luck to you guys. Last but not least, not even close to that, second to last, MHL Whalers, captained by Bear to Just, and I'm back. They have Heroic Duck, Sty, Gru, Fluffy Baby Kitten, Leathery Cow, Teabags, IFSU for Life, and Over Easy Eggs. Solid team, but with Sty, being part-time, Heroic Duck and them wrapped up 84 of their bods. I'm surprised he even was able to get a team, to be honest with you. I think Teabags was their biggest pickup outside of those. He's a really solid winger. He can pass the puck really well. I've played it with him and against him before. I'm back. Being able to play 8 games is huge. I'm not sure where Bear to Just is going to slot in. He's an okay player. Heroic Duck is going to have to really carry this team. And even if Sty can play 3 nights a week, I don't really know who else is going to take charge as far as playing forward. I simply just don't know enough about Over Easy Eggs or Fluffy Baby Kitten or Gru or any of those guys. So I'm probably going to slot these guys in at probably upper half team. Not going to say if they make the playoffs or not. I just don't know the rest of their guys to say that they won't. But I wish them the best of luck. They were really good last season, so it would be a shame to see that go to waste. MHL Wolves, last team I will comment on here. Really interesting team. They wrapped up 60 bods in Foss and Renton. They captained by Zero and Wicked Martyr. BC Renton, Foss, Fearless Legend, Dark Prince, Sharks Boy, Torn Hillbilly, Spudweiser, Baby Fart McGee. Um, yeah, really interesting team. I think with two guys like Renton and Fost, who are respectively one of the better guys in the league at their position, I think. Um, Fost doesn't really have a whole lot to work with on offense. Baby Fart's an okay player. Zero is an okay player. I don't know anything about Wicked Martyr. BC, I'm not sure who he's going to be paired up with. Dark Prince, not the best defenseman I've seen. Great guy, from what I understand, though. Torn Hillbilly's an okay goalie. I don't know Sharks Boy or Spudweiser, so it should be interesting to see on how Fost and Renton can handle taking on the load, considering that they have a really good forward and a really good defenseman. So I'm probably going to slot them in as a middle of the pack team because I could see that one of those two guys, if not both of them, stealing a couple of games, even though maybe the rest of the team didn't play that well. But for the most part, I fail to see where the rest of the offense and defense is going to come from, especially in a league where it's filled with a lot of different offensive guys that know how to carry the puck and stuff like that. So that's going to wrap up my preseason summary here. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll catch you guys next time.